Ikala na vau!
Ikua!
Ikula na vau!
Ikua!
Ikua huki, ikua ko, ikua mau, e mau kai hulu, e huki e kuia! E o mauna awa.
What is this song talking about?
It's a chant for every island. So it talks about each island and what it's famous for and the name of the chiefs of the island. And it's kind of a unifying chant. He says, Ea mai Hawaii nui Akea. Akea is Mauna Kea. And Ea mai Hawaii, he's saying all of Hawaii rally around our gods, our people. So it's quite a long chant. This one is performed by Kaumaka-iwa Kanaka-ole. There's several versions of it. This is quite a long one. It's we got another 4.5 minutes. I used to know all the words.
Thank you, Donovan.
The words.
Inspiring me to stay vigilant because I know what I know. Huh?
Yeah, you know, because the onslaught is relentless.
My resolve is even more fortified. You know, Akua delivers great things.
But you know, like Auntie Pua Case told me at the beginning of when people were getting arrested the first time, I think that was in October, was it, or in March? One of those times. She told me, she goes, you know, our Mauna is taking the hit so that the entire world can see what's happening here. And she's going to be okay. Our Mauna's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And it's true, you know, the people have overcome. And so today in Hawaii Island, well, they're having global sign waving today. Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. anywhere in Hawaii, anywhere else in the world, to celebrate the Supreme Court decision to invalidate the 30-meter telescope permit to build a Mauna Kea. However, our Aloha Aina warriors who were arrested are still being tried for blocking the road. So I tell you, it's always like, how can I say it? Like there's always a flip side.
Well,
there's it's just really crazy.
There's a real strong possibility that, you know, once the prosecution in the state has had time to look at the ruling that's been handed down from the Supreme Court, they're going to move to dismiss all of that. So we'll see, because the Kia'i have been to court and they have been requesting trials, and the judges and prosecution have been heavily persuading the Kia'i to forego the trial and to stay for now, you know, stay the case so that they can bring it back at a later date after Supreme Court hearings have been given.
Right.
So we'll see what's going on. Like I said, the onslaught of oppression that we face from these guys is never ending. It's
never ending.
So due diligence, vigilance, ever necessary as always. So.
Yeah, on the heads of many of our kupunas,
Mana
public restrooms built. You know, our sacred sites over and over have been the target of desecration and development. And every rock wall that you see here pretty much is a heiau from somewhere. And so we will continue fighting for our homeland till the last Aloha Aina warrior. And in the meantime, today on Kauai, celebrating with everyone throughout the archipelago, we will be celebrating here at the tree tunnel at 3 p.m. with the Cabebes. So Louis, Andrew, and Donovan will be at the tree tunnel this afternoon, 3 p.m. And at 4 p.m. in Hanalei in front of Tahiti Nui. I will be over there with all my cousins and Ohana. And today's sign waving, though, is a celebration of victory. So you can bring your signs, and some of the things you could put on the sign, like my sign, Donnie, is going to have the hashtag TMT shutdown. And then I have another sign that says hashtag show me the title. So you can, you know, just write victory for Mauna Kea, protect Mauna Kea. We are Mauna Kea is kind of the slogan, yeah? And ku kia I Mauna. Kukia Imona, protect our mountain.
Mm.
Those are some of the things that you can write on your sign today when you come join me at Tahiti Nui, or if you join the brothers over at the tree tunnel, 3 p.m. Today, in celebration with the entire planet, celebrating the liberation for now of our sacred Mauna. So we're gonna get back to playing some more music in case, I gotta skip out of here. Because I am on duty. Hey, you like ride, call me up. In the meantime, here's some music from oh, only now you catch.
I was trying to hold that back.
That's one of my hashtags, hashtag wanna ride. Okay, in the meantime, here's a song from my dear sister Oana. This song was on her hula jazz album that she won a hoku for, I want to say in 2006, off her hula jazz album. Awesome album. If you just like cruise and sing at the top of your lungs, that's the bugger right there. But this is my favorite rendition of this song. It's called E Mau, and you're listening to Kauai Community Radio, KKCR Hanalei. Here she is, Oana Salazar. Or maybe not. We have ghosts in the machines, you guys, so bear with us over here. There we go, there she is. E mau, ko ka ko lahui e ho'omau. Stateside, Rob and Courtney listening in from Ukiah this morning. Ukiah!
Yeah.
Northern Cali. Must be cold, you guys?
Ooh,
You lucky, you coming home pretty soon. Nice to see that you're listening online, Rob. We're looking forward to you guys coming home. Also, Lori, Lonnie, and Christy and Will are listening in over in San Marcos, San Diego this morning. Hey, you guys. Is it cold over there?
We got a listener in India today.
I know.
Did you see that?
I know.
Kind of cool. Hey, aloha, India.
Aloha to you. Namaste.
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 Germany's tuned in.
And our Canuck cousins over in Canada, Idle No More,
The
Imperial
Canucks.
No More. Yep. Listening in this morning. And of course, our dear friends and family over in Japan listening in. Aloha gozaimasu to you this morning. Okay, so I can see some of you listening in. And we have Nipomo, California listening in. I've never heard of that one. South Pasadena.
Ah, cool.
San Marcos, that's Christy, guys. How's it? Kailua Kona. Of course, our peeps over on Moku'okeawe listening in. Aloha to you this morning.
No, aloha kona.
Los Angeles. Woohoo! Mill Valley, Fort Collins, Colorado. Who else?
Prospect Heights, Illinois.
Nashua, New Hampshire? That's a new one for us.
New Hampshire.
Flagstaff, Arizona, listening in. We have a lot of listeners over in Arizona.
Huntington Beach.
Prospect Heights,
Brookings.
Illinois.
Wow.
Brookings,
Hey,
Augusta, Maine, and of course the Ninth Island listening in. Hey, you
George,
guys.
GW over there. GW.
Where?
GW's home.
Well,
Mount Vernon.
maybe it's him.
Oh, you guys over there. Free Hawaii.
Free Hawaii. Hashtag Free Hawaii. Check it out.
Tell those guys. They're not good at it. They get bumpers. We can flip some bumpers
Rubber
up.
baby buggy bumpers.
Yeah, exactly. And then you don't have to be worried about ending up in the gutter.
Oh, look who just
Wow,
joined us,
awesome.
Kalani. Woohoo, Lanakila. We're all in a state of celebration today. So, I want to play this song. This is my favorite Peter Moon song. It's kind of an oldie but goodie. Written in 1983, I think, but it's called Backbone. And if you're not a Kanaka, our mo'oku auhau, our genealogy of who we are, it's the same word as backbone, your spinal cord, yeah? So this song, Backbone, is about using your backbone. And what's in your backbone? You're the sum total of all of your ancestors that make up your mo'oku auhau, your backbone. And I want to send this song out to my backbone, that I consider my backbone here on Kauai. Some of them passed already, and some of them still here. So Auntie Kalehua and Bobo Hamyoung, love you. They're in my backbone. Mike Young is in our backbone now. Those still amongst us, Auntie Louise in my backbone. standing by my side, Auntie Nani by my side, making my backbone. Who else? Who else? Uncle Joe Manini. Uncle Joe Manini. I hope you're listening this morning, Uncle. Much aloha to you. And who else, Donnie? Who's in your backbone? The Cabebes.
Man.
Andrew and Louie.
I would go down the
We
list.
got so many.
There's so many.
Uh-huh.
And you know what, in my
Auntie
heart,
Cheryl
in my
Lava
heart,
Otake.
they know who they are.
Yeah.
And I can't ever express enough gratitude to my
To your
mokuaha,
back.
to my
And you are in my
kuamo'o.
backbone, very much so.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's take a listen to Peter Moon. We're going to switch seats around here, and we'll be right back. My friend wrote this song. Office of Hawaiian Despair, Conjob Convention. Sound the United States committed an act of war of aggression against the Hawaiian Kingdom, being a neutral state, when it was at war with Spain in 1898, and that the United States has been in a war of aggression against Hawaii ever since. This war of aggression has lasted over 116 years, the longest ever, since the 30 Years' War from 1618 to 1648. According to Oppenheim's International Law, 7th edition, page 685, quote, hostilities against a neutral state on the part of either belligerent are act of war, and not mere violations of neutrality. Thus, the German attack on Belgium in 1914 to enable German troops to march through Belgian territory and attack France created war between Germany and Belgium. The United States' intent and purpose was to deliberately violate the neutrality of the Hawaiian Kingdom in order to fight Spain in its colonies of Guam and the Philippines, and after the war to use the Hawaiian Islands as a military outpost to protect the west coast of the United States, as well as a base of operation for future wars. The action taken by the United States draws parallels to Germany's occupation of neutral states during World War I and II, which at the time was thought of as unprecedented, but it wasn't. The United States set the precedent in 1898. On May 10, 1940, Germany invaded and occupied the neutral territories of Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg in order to fight France and Great Britain during World War II. The Nuremberg Tribunal concluded in its Nuremberg judgment that these invasions and subsequent occupations were unjustified acts of an aggressive war. The tribunal stated, quote, there is no evidence before the tribunal to justify the contention that the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg were invaded by Germany because their occupation had been planned by England and France. British and French staffs had been operating in the Low Countries, but the purpose of this planning was to defend these countries in the event of a German attack, unquote. The invasion of Belgium, Holland, and Luxembourg was entirely without justification. It was carried out in pursuance of policies long considered and prepared, and was plainly an act of aggressive war. The resolve to invade was made without any other consideration than the advancement of the aggressive policies of Germany. Of the three neutral states, the situation with Luxembourg bears the closest similarity to the Hawaiian Kingdom, whereby Germany also unilaterally annexed Luxembourg and initiated an aggressive campaign of, quote, Germanization, unquote, and, quote, Nazification, unquote, in the public schools. The United States also initiated an aggressive campaign of, quote, Americanization, unquote, in the public schools that sought to obliterate the national character of the Hawaiian Kingdom and replace it with American patriotism. Luxembourg was previously occupied by Germany for the same unjustified reasons from 1914 through 1918 during World War I. The Hawaiian Kingdom has treaties of friendship, commerce, and navigation with all three countries. Belgium in October 4 of 1862, the Netherlands and Luxembourg October 16, 1862, and William III, King of the Netherlands, who entered into the Dutch treaty, was also the Grand Duke of Luxembourg. War under international law is considered an extension of a state's sovereignty and therefore regulated by the laws of war, as opposed to the laws of peace. International war separates the rights of belligerent states from the rights of neutral states. laws of war, jus in bello, make up a part of a customary international law until declared in law, making treaties that began in the mid-19th century. The first treaty was in 1856, the Paris Declaration respecting maritime law that abolished privateering, which later progressed to the 1899 and the 1907 Hague Conventions and the 1949 Geneva Convention. In order for the laws of peace to return, war must come to an end. If not, then the laws of war, jus in bello, remain over the regions that are affected by the war itself. For the case of neutral states being... Oh gosh, guess what just happened, Donnie?
I know what had happened.
Okay, here we go, I'm back. Oh, now it's... Yeah, we get this a lot.
Yeah, live streams messing up. Internet service. It's strange how our show gets these kinds of interruptions.
Okay, so I'm back. For the case of neutral states being illegally occupied during a war, being an act of war aggression, its state of war with the belligerent occupant will continue until the occupying state ceases to occupy the neutral state, and the laws of war would still apply according to the 1907 Hague Convention 4 and the 1949 Geneva Convention 4. Hawaiian neutrality began with King Kamehameha III, his proclamation of neutrality during the Crimean War on May 16, 1854. Since then, the Hawaiian government worked with other powers, to include the United States, to have Hawaii's neutrality respected in all subsequent wars. Neutrality provisions were inserted in the treaties with Sweden, Norway, Spain, Germany, and Italy. On April 7, 1855, His Majesty King Kamehameha IV opened the Legislative Assembly, and in his speech he reiterated the kingdom's neutrality. Quote, "It is gratifying to me, on commencing my reign, to be able to inform you that my relations with all the great powers, between whom and myself exist treaties of amity, are of the most satisfactory nature. I have received from all of them assurances that leave no room to doubt that my rights and sovereignty will be respected. My policy as regards all foreign nations, being that of peace, impartiality, and neutrality, in the spirit of the proclamation by the late King of the 16th May last, and of the resolutions of the Privy Council of the 15th June and 17th July. I have given to the President of the United States, at his request, my solemn adhesion to the rule and to the principles establishing the rights of neutrals during war, contained in the convention between His Majesty the Emperor of all the Russias and the United States, concluded in Washington on the 22nd July last." Unquote. The aforementioned declarations in 1854 Russian-American Convention represented the first recognition of the right of neutral states to conduct free trade without any hindrance from war. Stricter guidelines for neutrality were later established in the 1871 Treaty of Washington between the United States and Great Britain that was negotiated during the aftermath of the American Civil War, which also formed the basis of the Alabama claims arbitration in Geneva, Switzerland. Without justification, the United States of America is directly responsible for the violation of the Washington in 1871, the Hague Conventions 1907, and the Declaration of London in 1909. Article 4 of the 1871 Treaty of Paris between the United States and Great Britain declared that a neutral government is bound, quote, "not to permit or suffer either belligerent to make use of its ports or waters as a base of naval operations against the other, or for the purpose of renewal or augmentation of military supplies or arms, or the recruitment of men," unquote. The United States regarded this rule as declaratory of existing customary international law of the time. This rule was reproduced in Articles 1, 2, and 4 of the 1907 Hague Convention 5, which contained these provisions. The territory of neutral powers is inviolable. Article 1, quote, "belligerents are forbidden to move troops or convoys, whether of munitions of war or of supplies, across corps of combatants cannot be formed, nor recruiting agencies be opened on the territory of a neutral power to assist the belligerent," unquote, in Article 4. There is no doubt of the binding force of the 1863 Hawaiian-Spanish Treaty, the 1871 Treaty of Washington, and customary international law, as well as assurances by the United States through diplomatic notes since 1854, which guaranteed the neutrality of the Hawaiian Islands during the Spanish-American War. On December 18th of 1893, an executive agreement was reached through exchange of diplomatic notes between the United States President Grover Cleveland and the Hawaiian Kingdom's Queen Liliuokalani, whereby the United States committed to the reinstatement of the constitutional government of Hawaii and thereafter the Queen to grant a full pardon to a minority of insurgents who participated with the United States legation in the unlawful overthrow of the Hawaiian government. Prior to the agreement, the United States initiated a presidential investigation on April 1st, 1893, after ordering U.S. troops to return to the USS Boston that was anchored in Honolulu Harbor. The investigation was concluded on October 18, 1893, and concluded that the United States was entirely responsible for the unlawful overthrow of the Hawaiian government by its military force. President Cleveland declared in his message to Congress on December 18th of 1893, quote, "And so it happened that on the 16th day of January 1893, between 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, a detachment of Marines from the United States steamer Boston with 2 pieces of artillery landed in Honolulu. The men, upwards of 160 in all, were supplied with double cartridge belts filled with ammunition and with haversacks and canteens, and were accompanied by a hospital corps with stretchers and medical supplies. This military demonstration upon the soil of Honolulu was of itself an act of war, unless made either with the consent of the government of Hawaii or for the bona fide purpose of protecting the imperiled lives and property of citizens of the United States. But there is no pretense of any such consent on the part of the government of the Queen, which at the time was undisputed, and was both a de facto and a de jure government." Unquote. Cleveland also concluded that the provisional government that seized control of the constitutional government of Hawaii with U.S. troops was neither a government de facto nor de jure, but self-declared. After President Cleveland submitted a request to Congress for authorization to use force in order to reinstate the constitutional government of the Queen, which had been usurped by the United States, the House of Representatives and the Senate each passed resolutions calling upon the President to not carry out the executive agreements, and also issued warnings to foreign states not to intervene in the Hawaiian situation. U.S. Senate Resolution May 31st, 1894, quote, "Resolved, that of right it belongs wholly to the people of the Hawaiian Islands to establish and maintain their own form of government and domestic polity, that the United States ought in no wise interfere therewith, and that in any intervention in the political affairs of these islands by any other government will be regarded as an act unfriendly to the United States. Resolved first, that this is the sense of this House, that the action of the United States Minister in employing the United States naval forces and illegally aiding in the overthrow of the constitutional government of the Hawaiian Islands in January of 1893, and in setting up in its place a provisional government, not a republic in form, and in opposition to the will of a majority of the people, was contrary to the traditions of our republic and the spirit of our Constitution, and should be condemned. Second, that we heartily approve the principle announced by the President of the United States, that interference with the domestic affairs of an independent nation is contrary to the spirit of American institution. And it is further the sense of this House that the annexation of the Hawaiian Islands to our country, or the assumption of a protectorate over them by our government, is uncalled for and inexpedient, that the people of that country should have their own line of policy, and that foreign intervention in the political affairs of the islands will not be regarded with indifference by the government of the United States.
International law to which all nations have agreed to, and
Including the United States.
kingdom law here in Hawaii, you know.
Yeah. So there you
And
have
so
it. That is
since-
what happened.
Since we're not in the United States, why are we not practicing Kingdom law?
Well, the Hawaii Revised Statutes are actually came from Hawaiian Kingdom law.
Well,
So let's
I'm
go
not
a little
from that.
back. Let's go a little back. This is what my kupuna taught me, yeah? Where does the Hawaii Revised Statutes come from? It comes, first of all, we had our kapu, which was unwritten, and then King Kamehameha III wrote it down in his constitution. That was the kapu written down. Today's Hawaii Revised Statutes are the kapu. And a lot of them have been disregarded and changed, but that's where
misappropriated.
exactly that's
kapu.
where the Hawaii Revised Statutes
But
came
in any
from.
case, speaking of the because you were quoting King Kamehameha and the Hawaiian Constitution of 42, and in this statement that was made, that's the very first time we see in the written word the term Kanaka Maule.
Right.
Before that, the word and the phrase combined together like that never existed in the written form, and even in the consciousness of the people, I would dare to offer. We thought of ourselves as Kanaka.
Mm-hmm.
That is the term that Hawaiians saw used to delineate themselves as people of the Aina, this land, Hawaii. And in the Constitution, because that's the thing that we often miss when we're dealing with independence and all of that. Our people, the government of the United States, OHA, CNHA, they want us to be accepting of this classification of an indigenous people, which is a step backwards. Our indigenous people of Hawaii were able to elevate themselves from the status of indigenous peoples to the status of nationals. And by codifying a constitution and being recognized as a sovereign independent nation amongst nations by treaty, we removed ourselves from the lesser classification under the Agreement of Nations of indigenous people and became a nation. And so our people were then delineated as nationals. We are nationals. And within the boundaries of our national lands, our country, all citizens are nationals.
Right.
And Hawaiian.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Because our country is Hawaii, the kingdom of Hawaii. And so regardless of your race, nationality, creed, color, sexual orientation, and so on, you are a Hawaiian.
Correct.
So the term Kanaka Maole comes to us at this time in order for our nation to be able to delineate the difference between native-born people, the indigenous Kanaka Maoli race, and other Kanaka of Hawaiian nationality. Are you understanding me? Are you clear on this?
Yes. You're so akamai.
Okay. And so, in this day and age, the step backwards, the disregard, and the purposeful forgetting or not even telling of this bit of information that I've given you by those who have set themselves up to be your representatives automatically, in my opinion, invalidates their right to be your representative. If they're not sharing with you this simple fact and truth of the matter, which allows us to have the claims that we have as Hawaiian nationals, inalienable, which means they can never be taken away unless we give it away. And that's what Naiaupuni and federal recognition has always been about. Because when you come to this day and age, how would you like to get your hands on 200 million acres and an exorbitant amount of money managed by Mr. Kane at the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, well, or whoever is currently managing, Mr. Krabby, whoever, those guys all. Who? And why is it, just out of curiosity, why is it that we forget that we what we keep asking, oh, Mr. Kerry, oh, Mr. whoever, what are we? What's the political status of our nation? We forget about that.
No need ask.
No need ask. That's why we're here. We're telling you what the truth is. And if you do your homework and your research and you understand the way international law is set up, if you understand the way our Constitution was written, and you understand agreements upon nations, then you'll kind of start to get the picture of how and what we are. And in the work, I'm reiterating stuff here. I've done the research. I know this in my heart to be true, but all of the stuff that I'm saying came to me at some point from another Akamai Kanaka who told me, what are you? Who are you? You don't even know what you are, kid. They tell me. And so you need to research this. Why don't you go read this bit of information, or go Google something, or go to the library? And so I've done that, and thanks to the guidance of others, I've been able to do my homework and educate myself and become knowledgeable in some of these facts. And I'm not an expert by no means, but here we are.
Auntie Nani just sent a message, and I love you, Auntie. You're so in my backbone. But she says, this is what I believe regarding our identity of ourselves as Kanaka Maoli, humans, original humans. It was to differentiate ourselves from our gods, our now akua. And she says, just my elua keni keni. So just her 2 cents. But that is kind of, Kanaka just means human. And if you look at a lot of different native nations, what they call themselves really in their language just means human. So, but if you're here in Hawaii, in the Hawaiian Kingdom, you and Hawaiian, get it. So now you have responsibility. Now that you know this, because I was speaking with some gentlemen that were speaking about, the upcoming election in the United States and all this stuff. And for me, it's none of my business. That's not my country. That's for them to figure out. Yeah,
they can figure them out.
But
maybe.
What I did
Hopefully.
say to these gentlemen is that absolutely, as proud Americans who believe in the Constitution of the United States, it is absolutely your responsibility to protect the people of this land.
As an American, okay, I went through that indoctrination, and I spent some time as an American, and there's a lot of stuff as an American we can be proud of.
Right.
There's a whole ton of stuff.
My father was an American Marine.
The falsehood of the annexation of Hawaii is not one of them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's a theory that our souls are scarred with each bad deed that we do, that within our genetic imprint on our DNA, every wrong deed that we've done in our life is marked by a black spot on our genetic chains. I saw a scientific study about this. They're studying bad people in prisons and jail and looking at their genetic, their DNA, and they're finding these little black spots on these people's DNA, and they were correlating those little black spots to behavioral patterns and this and that, and they came up with this theory that those little black spots were bad things that these people had done that caused their DNA to become scarred, right? The annexation of Hawaii, the falsehood of annexation of Hawaii is a black spot on the DNA of the United States. And those black spots can be erased, and I believe it should be. So we're gonna just take this moment right now to turn the tide back to the attitude of gratitude that we should always have, and I'm gonna offer up the Hawaiian word of the day.
Nice.
For today. I wanted to offer this word in English. It's gratitude, and so as I was doing my research looking for how I would say and express gratitude in the Hawaiian language, 2 words kept coming up. The first was ho'omaikai, and the second was mahalo. So we're going to take the second to ho'omaikai, mahalo, the Malie Foundation, who are the fine folks who bring us cultural events like the Mokihana Music Festival. Mahalo to the Malie Foundation for their support of Kauai Community Radio, Hawaiian music, and Hawaiian language. Today's Hawaiian word of the day, you have 2, ho'omaikai and mahalo. So I'm going to give you the formal definition of maikai. Maikai is good, fine. It never ceases to amaze me how many definitions there are for one word in the Hawaiian language. For maikai, you get good, fine, alright, well, good looking, handsome, beautiful, goodness, righteousness, benefit, well-being, morality, good looks, good health, and there are a lot of ways that you could use it. I would go into some of them, but we're not. Maybe one. Pehea oi, maikai no. How are you? I'm doing fine. And so, for mahalo, we see
Aloha, KKCR.
thanks, gratitude, to thank, mahalo nui loa, thank you very much. Olelo mahalo is a compliment. Mahalo anui,
you know what? We usually
thanks
don't play
very
music in the
much.
10 o'clock hour, but
It
we'll see if
also
we can squeeze
can
it
be,
in. You know
when you
which
say
song I
mahalo,
really
in
love?
admiration, praise, esteem, or
You know
regard,
which song I
respect,
really love from Uncle Nathan?
to admire, praise,
No, the
and
little purple house. That's the one, yeah.
I said praise,
we'll go look for that.
and
The one he did with Ekolu Panui.
appreciate.
Okay.
O wau no
Thanks,
me
brother.
kia mahalo. I am yours respectfully. Ke mea I mahalo ia Mr. Cabebe, the esteemed Mr. Cabebe. Hey, there you go. You get 2 Hawaiian words today. You should use them as often as possible
They hear
in order
on-
to the songs of sovereignty. Okay, we're gonna give you guys this thing right here because you know
Have to.
we
We
should.
want to know where the musicians
And
are.
you guys want to know because you love all things Hawaii, and so I'm gonna play this little thing. You can give it a listen, and then we'll be back.
And after that, we had a request for Uncle Nate, one of Uncle Nathan's song. I've got it queued
I am
up
an
for you.
avid. I love history in all forms, whether it's Hawaiian history, Indian history. We got listeners in India. I can't believe it. Maybe next week I'll share some Indian history and just some stuff that's going on
Yes,
in
please
India.
join us again next week.
Yes, we should talk about some of the issues that India is facing. They're in a pretty crazy way right now. All kinds of interesting things happening with India. They're like really making strides in the technological areas too right now. It's amazing. Anyway, we'll talk about India a little bit next week. Right now, because of my love of history, I've stumbled upon this wonderful resource. It's called the newpepahawaii.com.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And you're going to get all kinds of wonderful history. Okay, back in the day, in the 1800s, when the missionaries, after the missionaries had come along and gave us type text, and the Hawaiians embraced it.
Among other things.
Embraced it as thoroughly as they did. My goodness, the body of literature that was produced in the 1800s during the emergence of the Hawaiian language and the overthrow of our kingdom. In that time frame, our most used way of recording our histories, our mo'olelo, our stories, was through newspaper. In Hawaii, the smallest, tiniest country in the world, most isolated, at one time had the most publications going at once. So every organization, every group was printing.
99% literacy rate.
There were multiple newspapers reporting stories, events, global happenings, local happenings, dozens of newspapers. This wonderful resource is committed to the translation of many of those newspapers. And so it's become a great place for our modern day scholars who are poring over the works of our kupuna in these newspaper archives, compiling them after translation, putting them on the internet for us non-researchy type folks to be able to get to it readily and easily. And I came across this wonderful article. It's a 6-part article that's going on right now. This is part 2 of 6. And it tells the story of the kahuna, the moving of the naha stone. And for those of you who are not familiar, Naha stone is a pohaku that hanaud here on Kauai, and it's representative of the Naha family line. Was taken to the Big Island, and babies who were born, who were placed on the Naha stone, were that this is the technique that they used to tell if a baby was truly part of the Naha line. For when the baby was placed on the Naha stone, and the kahuna began to chant, if the baby was truly of a Naha line, the baby would recognize the chant and be silent for the entirety of the chant. And if the child made any kind of noise or interrupted the kahuna during his chants, it was said that the baby was not of a true Naha lineage. Kamehameha was quoted as saying, "You are to the Naha stone. You are of the Naha line, and it is a Naha that will move you." Ordinarily, this stone is tremendous. It sits in the front of the Hilo Library.
I know exactly.
And it takes a minimum of 6
It's huge.
full-grown kanaka to move this stone. Kamehameha picked it up, shouldered it, and flipped it over by himself. And that'll give you a little bit of an idea of his tremendous strength. And it was prophesied on his birth. My ancestor was actually one of the guy who picked Kamehameha up as an infant on command of Kalani Pu'u, brought King Kamehameha as a child to Kohala to be raised. There's a question about where Kamehameha was born, actually. We'll get into that. Those truths will be revealed shortly, I'm sure. And so at some point, the Kalaniupu gathered all of his kahuna together and asked them to give their prophecies. And it was at this time that the male priestly caste did their observations, and they revealed that understanding, that being that Kamehameha would become a famous warrior, and there would be no opponent to stand before this tremendous chiefly warrior. There would be absolutely none who would blow this young chiefly warrior aside, for he would be a warrior of the windy days and not the clear, calm days of Kona. When the knowledge of the male kahuna class was done, the female group of kahuna were called. And so I'm going to end there with that. The story goes on, and there's more about what the female kahuna class.
Can we have that next week?
Maybe next week I'll give.
My ears are
some of
perking
that.
up
Yeah,
as a
of course,
female
of course, of
kahuna.
course. You're going to be able to find this story and read all 6 parts on your own if you choose at Nupepa, Nupepe. Kalamai. We're getting Hawaiian and Halloween mixed up together. So nupepa-hawaii.com, and you're going to look up Moving of the Naha Stone. And that's nupepa-hawaii.com. Wonderful resource provided to us by our Hawaiian scholars who are translating all the newspapers. Yeah. Let's see, Nupepa. Another place to talk about Hawaiian language newspapers. Please note that these are not translations, but if anything, they are just words in progress. Hopefully the English gets across the overall intent of the article. Please comment if you come across misreads or anything else you think is important. So there you go. You actually get to read the clipping itself, because they scan
right
the
there.
picture,
It's like
and then they
scanned
give you
in.
their little gist of what the article is. Not a translation, but the gist. And you get to actually comment and chime in, so it's an awesome spot.
Before we go, I know I see you looking at the clock.
Yeah.
It's the last day to get a Songs of Sovereignty t-shirt.
Oh, thank you so much for reminding me. Yeah, we went through this whole thing.
Someone got to be the businesswoman around here.
Put a campaign together on online at Teespring. It's on our webpage,
It's
the
on our Songs of Sovereignty page.
Facebook page.
And on our personal
Today's
pages
the
as well.
last day to get in on that SOS T-shirt, KKCR T-shirt campaign. So that's what.
And
Only
mahalo
today.
nui to everyone who participated. Yeah.
We'll be doing more
be
campaigns
doing
like
more.
that, T-shirt campaigns, and we're going to be encouraging
Ball
the other
caps.
programmers to possibly take advantage of this program that we're piloting here for KKCR.
Uh-huh.
And then everybody can wear their favorite programs
T-shirt around town.
around
Yeah.
town and let folks know that you're listening
Mhm.
and what you listen to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. You know why? Because everybody should have a label. Right? Everybody should have a label. Right?
Yeah,
My label
yeah.
can say Kanaka. Kanaka.
Mine is my Maile and Mokihana.
Yeah.
That's my label.
My label gonna be Mahalo.
Anyway, mahalo nui today, cause it was a great show, and we're just feeling really up and just really encouraged at our victories that are happening slowly but surely. We're advancing forward. We are many in body, one in mind. Many in body, one in mind. That's a Buddhist principle, and we are doing it, and we are winning. And I have no doubt. I have no doubt in our people and in our abilities. And we just walk in the footsteps of our kupuna. So mahalo nui for tuning in this morning. We love you, Kauai. We love you.
All right.
I see you
so
on the highway, and don't tailgate me.
With that, we hold until next week. I told you before, we're not tailgating, we're drafting.
I see. Is that what it is? I know I
Exactly.
look good from behind, but hey.
No, well. Okay. I
Okay.
guess that's it then for us, right?
Yeah. Till
Okay.
next week, we'll see you right here. Oh, this afternoon, we'll see you 3 o'clock at the Tree Tunnel
Aye.
with the Kebabsters.
Yeah.
And 4 p.m. with me at Tahiti Nui.
No.
And I want to say a quick shout out to
But Dustin said he was gonna come now.
No, he's on Oahu.
Oh.
But he's posting and changed his status to make
Oh.
sure everybody knows.
See, that's why
I love
that
him.
guy is so awesome because he's all
He's a
about
Hawaiian.
all about letting folks know what's up.
He's a Hawaiian.
You seen his new board shorts?
Yes,
You seen him?
yes.
Flying the
I have a
upside
feeling
down
some of my
Kanakamale
men,
flag.
some of my men gonna get that shorts for, I know Aukai would
They
love
cannot
to have them.
see me on the radio, but my hand is up.
Yeah, you like what?
I like one.
They're beautiful. Mahalo
They
nui,
are
Dustin. You
awesome.
rock.
Camouflage, action.
With the upside down flag.
What's really cool was the description that went along with the shorts too. So, yeah, coolness.
We'll see you next week. We love you.
Aye.